So speaking of claims, nuclear verdicts, things like that are on the rise. Are there ways that carriers can sort of be proactive in those kind of claims? Is there a way that they can prepare for those kind of claims ahead of time, knowing that it's out there?
So much is the safety culture.
Yeah.
Because the trial or the plaintiff attorneys tend to try the motor carrier and not the circumstances of the loss so much.
Right.
So they'll try and paint a picture to a jury that, the motor carrier has a pattern of unsafe behaviors, or the driver has a pattern of unsafe behaviors. So the cleaner your loss histories, the cleaner the driver's MVRs, the easier defensibility becomes. The camera certainly helps. Now we have video evidence. And the next thing is just being involved in the claim process. We know in the insurance industry that every hour delay in reporting a claim costs more dollars on the other end. Mm-hmm. So get your claim team involved immediately with prompt reporting. That'll yield some benefits on the back end too.
Agree.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. So if an accident happens, and inevitably will, basically, if you're in the business long enough, regardless of fault, even if they've been clean for so long, an accident can happen. As far as on the risk side, what should a carrier do to prepare, like just beforehand, before an accident happens? During an accident, you mentioned file that claim right away, or even after an accident happens, what can carriers do to help limit the, say, insurance bump that they're going to receive down the road?
Participate in the claim process, make that prompt reporting. Again, the faster we get involved, the more we can mitigate the loss.
Right.
So those are probably the things.
Yeah, and, I hate to say it, but the use of cameras, really takes away that he said, she said.
Right.
And as Denny mentioned, typically the motor carrier is going to be not viewed positively. They're going to pay a claim that, in my opinion, sometimes maybe they shouldn't have. And I think the use of cameras can really help prove liability and maybe take that claim away completely. There could be liability on the claimant vehicle and not necessarily the insured vehicle, that sometimes the carriers would pay out because it's not worth fighting. They're going to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees trying to defend a claim. So sometimes they'll settle to avoid those legal fees, and these cameras can really help take those legal fees away and reduce settlements by showing liability not, being the fault of the trucker.
And speaking of sort of the future that's coming, there's been a lot of chat about, from the government specifically, wanting to increase insurance premium minimums from $750,000 a mil anyway, because that's what brokers want, to $2 million. Sometimes you hear as high as $5 million. As insurance or underwriters, what's your perspective on that? What would that do to small fleets, big fleets?
So, Luke, this talk has been there as long as I've been in the business, mm-hmm. which is, pushing 30 years. We established this limit in 1980. The Motor Carrier Act in 1980 said you need at least $750,000 of financial responsibility to haul in interstate commerce. Yeah. And then there's slightly higher levels if you're engaged in any degree of hazardous materials hauling. So if you think about 1980 to the present, prices
Inflation.
have moved, right? But this comes up, and I think every 4 years there's a reoccurring study. Is the limit adequate? But it creates a lot of controversy.
It does.
The attorneys from the other side will say no. They want to create a bigger slush fund. But the ATA, very, very good advocate for the truck insurance industry, they'll correctly show reports that say 99% of the claims are settled within $1 million. Yep. So the limit is adequate. So there's some, it's been a debate that never seems to get to an end because we have powerful lobbyists on both sides arguing their cases. And Atri did a study, what would be the financial impact of the trucking industry? Well, there would be some.
Yeah.
The insurance industry can provide the capacity.
Right.
You know, we can do $2 million limits. We can do $5 million limits. You know, there's reinsurance even that we can seek out, but we have to pass those costs on to the truckers. So that means there's going to be more costs for insurance. And what will that do to an already stressed industry, struggling to find drivers, you know, where there's more demand for shipping than there is capacity to fill it? Do we want to stress that industry farther? That's political football, and we've been discussing that for all the years I've been in the business. I think we'll continue to discuss it for a long time until we see anything really enacted.